Welcome back, guys. You've seen the thumbnail. I know it's a bit clickbaity, but I think this is as good a time as any to find out the answer to this question. Well, I've had this car for about, in fact, it is a year now. So I'm as well placed as anybody really to see if this car is really fast or is just a pretender to the crown. Let's remind everyone what we're working with. Let me pop the bonnet. Here we are in all its glory. TUR GSE, 5-litre V8, running around 475 horsepower, well in my dyno anyway. Official figures around 477 PS, 471, depends on who you go to for your figures. And that's around 391 foot-pound of torque, 530 Newton meters. All naturally aspirated. This particular engine is standard and I've done anything to it, even down to the standard OEM air filter. So everything is as it left factory on this one. A little bit more engine trivia while we're under here. This engine was co-developed with Yamaha, and you know what that means when it comes to Toyota and engines. Good things. To the 2JZ was co-developed with Yamaha, the 3S GT and the MR2, the WRC engine, and of course we can't forget about the LFA. The engine was developed with Yamaha, so that will tell you that something special about this engine. Another bit of trivia for this engine. This engine was actually pared back or nerfed from its original spec. It was meant to rev up to 8,500 RPM. I mean, that's basically what I guess Toyota do with their different philosophy compared to AMG and BMW. Because BMW and AMG, they usually, I believe, make their engines as strong or as powerful as they can be. Toyota or Lexus basically put a bit more emphasis on longevity on their engines. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but either way, the engine is quite reliable, or very reliable. What am I talking about? I mean, just look at it. You rarely see engines that try to show off underneath the bonnet anymore. Most are covered with plastic like this is, but at least the cylinder heads, they tried and made it a little bit more interesting. The C7 RS6 and RS7. I quite like the RS7 actually, but talking about the car before, the RS6, that was a V10 twin turbo, which was quite exciting. I think it was shared with the Gallardo at the time. Anyway, Audi sort of toned it down a bit and went to a V8 twin turbo, and power was actually, would you believe it, made less in the newer one. It was 580 horsepower in the C6, and now went to 560. But I'm still losing about 180 horsepower to this car, and it's got all-wheel drive. Not sure I quite like an all-wheel drive. I much prefer a rear-wheel drive. Anyway, that's arrival number 1. The F10 M5, running from 2011 all the way up to 2016. The GSF started production in 2015, so this was towards the end of its life in regards to the M5. Considered the most unloved of all the M5, unfortunately. This is due to the hard act it had to follow going on from a V10 M5 in the E60. Also, why it's also unloved is it's plagued with reliability issues, with bearings and high oil consumption. But the engine itself is a very strong engine. It's got at least 130 horsepower more than the GSF platform. But yeah, unfortunately for me, it's the sound of the engine. This and a lot of BMW current cars, M cars, don't sound that great. Mercedes seem to figure it out with their supercharged and turbo cars, so it's not a case of it being forced induction. Anyway, yes, it's not bad for me. I mean, it looks quite stealthy and sleeperish, but for me, I'll still choose the GSF over the F10 M5. Last and definitely not the least, the Mercedes W212 E63. Well, what to say about this? I'm actually a secret AMG fan, if you didn't know. I've always loved AMGs right from the 80s Hammer. In this, guys, it also followed had a hard act to follow in the, it was following the M156 engine, that's the 6.2 litre V8, sorry. But it wasn't that bad. This was a 5.5 V8 twin turbo. And best of all, it actually kept the sound. You actually knew you were driving a V8, and it had a really good sound, which is all part of the enjoyment, like I keep saying, of a V8. No point having a fast car if it doesn't sound good. We'd all just be driving EV cars, wouldn't we? But yeah, this is a strong contender. I was actually looking at a couple of these, but I don't know. The chicken in me said to go for a reliability, the reliable Lexus. Not that it's a consolation, but this, especially in the S guys, is quite a potent engine. Even in the non-S guys, it sounds and is a quick car. So yeah, those are my rivals as far as Audi, BMW, and Mercedes. And of course, the pros and cons, there are pros and cons to everything. I think this car, obviously, the plus to it will be the reliability and less moving parts and less things you need to change on it. Yeah, second one with a plus point is obviously the noise. It's not drowned out by the turbo, and the exhaust is it's just a linear instant power with this car. So, and it's quite a sleeper. Not many people know about this car, so you can surprise quite a few people. Okay, minus points with this car. I guess it doesn't have the kudos of an M Sports or AMG, even an RS. When you have to explain to someone, it really does take away of, this is actually a blah blah blah, an F Sport. It's an F what? No, that's a disadvantage. Also, there's the getting more power out of this car. You're either going to supercharge it, or you're going to have to change the headers or manifold, or whichever one you call it, and exhaust and the tune, and they're quite expensive for what the power you get out of it. Obviously, with a turbo, you can get a bigger turbo and turn up the boost. That's how we get power out of it. But for NA cars, I mean, if you're not happy with the start, chances are you're not going to be happy with it further down the line. And you do have to pay what I call the F tax, which is quite a lot of money if you want to get more power out of this engine. So I just enjoy it for what it is. Right, we seem to find ourselves in an unrestricted area, so we're going to try some 0 to 60s and see how it does. I'd say that's pretty quick. Lighten up the tires there. We're on one of my little testing roads, nice little A road here. We'll see how the car does. Lighting up the tires there. what this car lacks in power, it more than makes up in the sound. I think sound is easily part of the equation as far as how fast the car feels. Because if it wasn't, we'll all be driving electric cars. And this car is really well balanced. I mean, it is carrying a bit of a hefty weight, 1.8 kgs plus. But yeah, it really does handle really well. Engine's really responsive. And that was with traction control on as well. So yeah, I think that's what's missing. I know I keep going on about the BMW M5 engine. Powerful engine, but that's the soul that's missing. I think the perfect way to describe this car is if you can remember the storybook of the Three Bears, this is just right. Not too crazy and not too cold. Because definitely when I drive the MR2, I'm kind of peaky in my concentration. This one gives you way more time to get your bearings and see what's happening around you when you're driving. So, to wrap up this video, and the question that was asked, is the car fast enough in today's 600, whatever, 800 horsepower cars? I would say definitely fast enough, and definitely enough speed to keep you entertained. Because you got to imagine now, I think we're fighting against EV cars with SUVs with 2,000 horsepower from China and crazy stuff like that. Even the Porsche Taycan now, the newest one now, 1,200 horsepower electric car. You're fighting a losing battle. So for me, I say just enjoy the car. Anyway guys, I think we will wrap up the video here. Like and subscribe. More videos coming your way soon. Take care, guys.